What's up, witches or non-witches? I don't discriminate, and apparently neither does this next movie I'm about to review, except against the original. Here's The Craft Legacy. This film left a lot of questions unanswered, and the more I look into it, the more I think a lot was left on the cutting room floor. The Craft Legacy was released October 2020 and was directed by Zoe Lister-Jones. It stars Kaylee Spaney as Lily, Zoe Luna as Lourdes, Lovie Simone as Tabby, Gideon Adlon as Frankie, Nicholas Galitzine as Timmy, Michelle Monaghan as Helen, and David Duchovny as Adam. Both David Duchovny and Nicholas Galitzine have rubbed shoulders with witches in the past. David Duchovny investigated the paranormal and supernatural, witches among them, as Agent Mulder in The X-Files, with episodes such as Sanguinarium. And Galitzine appears as Soren Carlyle in 2017's The Changeover. Now that was a great movie. I can't say the same for The Craft Legacy. The story follows Lily, who moves in with her mum and stepdad with his family. After meeting a group of girls, they very quickly form a coven and can all of a sudden do magic, sparkles and all. They think one of their spells goes wrong and stop talking to each other until they don't. Honestly, I can't even. You don't even know anything about the rest of the girls, and barely even their names, which are mentioned once or twice throughout the film. How hard is it to introduce your characters?
She's Nancy, I'm Bonnie, and that's Rochelle.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
Yeah, we know who you are.
The film was really riding on the original. It's one thing for a sequel to pay homage to the original, but this was a remake until about 2/3 of the way through, when the directors all of a sudden thought, this is a sequel, we better change the ending. Speaking of the ending, personally, I think the movie should have started there, at the end. I mean, the very end, and led from there. That is something I really would love to see. The new things The Craft Legacy brings to us are use of the Dianic Wicca and Triple Goddess symbols, auras, Ouija boards, warlocks, lots of unnecessary sparkles, oh, and sex magic. This film, just like the original, opens on 3 girls around their altar. Altars are used for holding components for spellcasting or leaving offerings for deities. On this altar is the symbol for Dianic Wicca. The filmmakers of the original hired a consultant on witchcraft in Pat Devon, a Dianic elder priestess. Dianic Wicca had its origins in the 1970s, when originally only women deviated from the horned god and mother goddess of original Wicca and started to only worship the female aspects. They mashed together the symbols from both of these, both of which appear in the film: the pentagram of Wicca, which represents earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, and that of the triple goddess. The triple goddess symbol represents the outdated 3 stages of a woman's life: maiden, mother, and crone.
The maiden, the mother, the crone.
Lister-Jones employed the help of Pam Grossman, Brie Luna, and Erin Fogel as her own witchcraft consultants. So although the rituals portrayed in this film are accurate, they didn't want to use actual spells just in case. For example, when the girls are calling the corners, they are actually using the lyrics from The Earth, the Air, the Fire, the Water by Lubana.
The air, the fire, the water, the earth, return, return, return.
The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return.
Calling the corners is actually part of an ancient meditation ritual. You don't need to look too much into the magical elements of this film, as they are flat out explained to you. For example, the casting of a circle.
So whenever we do a spell, we always cast a circle first. Think of it as, making a container to hold all of our energies.
And to keep the bad shit out.
Not all practitioners will cast a circle, though many find comfort in it. Another pre-spell casting ritual is the cleansing of an area with the smoke of burning herbs, usually sage. I'm pretty sure the girls have innate magic, though can't access it until they find their 4th, who just happens to be wearing the exact same symbol as appears in their book. I found a similar image on the Museum of Witchcraft and Magic, as part of the Rochelle Elderman's collection, though no information about what it actually means. It appears maybe Lourdes can read auras and taught it to the rest of them. Some people believe they can read a person's aura, which appears as a coloured haze around the person's being, reflective of their emotion or vibration. The girls' auras, quite obviously reflective of the elements that they represent.
I'm fire.
Air.
Your water.
Which we never actually see her use compared to the other girls, except for maybe lightning because a storm. What we do see from Lily, sex magic. Some practitioners believe the act of orgasm or arousal is a pretty potent power to add to their spellcasting. The girls also have a pretty neat witch kit they carry around, ready for any wayward spellcasting, which they use with whatever else is on hand. Witchcraft is all about intention after all. They also mess around with a Ouija board from time to time, also known as a spirit board or talking boards. These came around in the late 19th century when spiritualism became a big thing as a way to communicate with the dead. I listened to a fascinating podcast on talking boards by The Dollop. Check it out in the links below if you want to find out more about the Ouija board. It is hilarious and definitely worth a listen. The only time we see them not just screwing around with a Ouija board, but it actually working, is after they complete a binding on themselves, which is apparently used to stop a person from taking certain actions. Should have done that to the warlock, which apparently here is the male equivalent of a witch, though men can still be witches. He has an interesting family crest, reminiscent of this image from Kabbalah, the looking glass of art and nature. The intertwining snakes, known as a caduceus, and the Ouroboros both have connections with Hermeticism, so maybe he belonged to an ancient order, though we never really find out. He's also the only one, if only once, to mention the original Manon, a fictional deity from the original film. This film gets Law and The Craft, but for a movie that has The Craft in their title, most of these scenes are represented in montages. There were nods to the original. The opening credits and the iconic Mary image from this scene and from the magic shop are shown on the back of Lou's jacket, in their witch kit, and also as a Polaroid in Lily's photo album. These would have been enough to pay homage to the original, but they didn't stop there, and that's why this is a remake and not a sequel. New girl moves into town with her parent and step-parent. Snake. New school. There's an asshole guy.
Did you just call me an asshole?
3 potential witches are in search of their 4th and find her after she screws around with a pencil. Girl also has jewelry inherited by her mother. They can now make things happen. They initiate each other into the coven and then call the corners, giving them access to increased abilities. Slow walk. Light as a feather, stiff as a board. Some spellcasting goes awry and a boy ends up dead. A binding is made, and then some more bad shit goes down.
We are the weirdos, mister.
It's the same movie. The only thing that makes this barely a sequel and not a remake is a cameo of one of the original actresses at the end, which again, that is where they should have started it and led from there. Would have watched it, but unfortunately they didn't. Some of the clips from the trailer don't even make it into the film. All that being said, if you haven't seen the original, you may have liked this film. Let me know, because I did not have that experience. If you haven't seen the original, I highly recommend it, and if you want to know the witchy stuff about it, I'll pop my review in the links below or find it on my channel. Find me on socials for some extra content that didn't quite make the cut, and as always, like and subscribe to keep up to date on The Witch Way. Thanks for watching.